Now, the task facing the Scottish National Party is not to try and persuade the people of Scotland that things could change overnight with independence. People don't expect that, and they wouldn't believe that. But the task facing us is to demonstrate that constitutional change can significantly enhance Scottish economic performance, that it can make a real difference to real people, that a free Scotland can free Scots.
Independence in Europe converted from slogan to action. Money from Brussels builds a seawall for Angus, the only SNP-run council. The Scottish nationalists are consolidating after their best performance since the defeat of devolution 10 years ago. Independence, though differently defined, is now in every politician's vocabulary.
Item 4, the Tayside 8 Strategy Group.
The Angus councillors see themselves as the shop window of the independence movement. 5 years in power, more than a protest against Thatcherism, better for the voters than Labour.
Thank you. Anything that the Scottish Labour Party put forward will be outvoted by their counterparts in England, and even if they win the majority of seats in Britain and take over at the next general election, they will still be ruled by the majority of seats from London.
The SNP has switched targets. At the last general election, all 3 seats it won were from the Conservatives. But in the industrial central belt, Labour is still overwhelmingly in control. In 1987, they even won the SNP leader's seat in Dundee, because Gordon Wilson admits Labour was the most convincing escape route from Thatcherism.
I think that we've got to chase after the Labour Party, which is very high, but Labour can be vulnerable as well, as has been apparent this year from the Glasgow Govan election, that if they fall back or if there's disillusionment with Labour, we will benefit.
But the SNP's dilemma is that many traditional Labour voters return to the fold if they believe the party can win a general election.
We've got to be much more positive. We've got to have a vision of how Scotland could develop. A democratic one, a country more like the Scandinavian countries perhaps, in a different sort of atmosphere from that in which we live at this moment.
So delegates who braved the weather and the ferry trip to Dunoon faced a week of detailed policy debate spiced with attacks on Labour. In the past, the Scottish National Party conference has been riven by internal divisions. But this week, the calmest place on the whole west coast of Scotland is the conference centre at Dunoon. The nationalist resurgence has ended the days when socialists fought social democrats to the point of expulsions. Social democracy has won and brought with it the kind of suited respectability now typical of left-of-centre parties.
Now, the task facing the Scottish National Party is not to try and persuade the people of Scotland that things could change overnight with independence. People don't expect that, and they wouldn't believe that. But the task facing us is to demonstrate that constitutional change can significantly enhance Scottish economic performance, that it can make a real difference to real people, that a free Scotland can free Scots.
But underlying the policy debates, the plans for action on jobs, education and housing, is the conviction not only that Labour must be tackled head-on, but that it can be terminally weakened by constant reminders of policy decisions not universally popular among its own supporters here, like attitudes to the poll tax.
There's about a third of the people in Glasgow alone haven't paid a penny of the poll tax. And we've got a statement out today from the Labour group in Strathclyde Regional Council, Donald Dewar, the Labour leader in Scotland, and Lord James Douglas Hamilton, the Tory minister. And you couldn't put a razor blade between any of the statements. They sound the same.
Neil Kinnock's desperation to try to choose the curtains at number 10 Downing Street will mean that he will ditch principles and quite happily collude with the political system which exists in the so-called Mother of Parliaments. If Neil Kinnock is prepared to collude with the Westminster system, he has no right to aspire to represent the democratic aspirations of our people.
Yet for all its televisual optimism, the SNP has grown more cautious, perhaps because its membership is still below 20,000, and it has to go from 4 to 37 MPs before independence is even within reach. Anne Perkins, ITN, Dunoon.